Okay, we're going to get started with Chris Sale. Once again, we have mics on both sides, so if you just have a question, just raise your hand and we'll get you a microphone. Who wants to start? Nick? Right here in front, Nick.
Chris, you've waited for this moment for a long, long time, right? How does it feel that it's a day away?
It's exciting. A lot of hard work goes into this, you know, ups and downs of the season, you know, battling the travel and all this other stuff. So to be sitting here right now is pretty fulfilling.
Sean?
Chris, have you spoken to anybody who's been through what you haven't, turned to for advice about preparation or handling the whole atmosphere of a postseason start? Is there anybody who you've tapped into for that knowledge?
Not really. I mean, we've talked about it like throughout the year and stuff like that, but haven't really had a sit-down conversation. For me, it's gonna be hard not to, but try not to put too much emphasis on it. You know, try to treat this just like another game. You know, you get a little amped up sometimes, and it can kind of go crazy. So, you know, try to just go out there and pitch my game and act like this is just another one along the way.
Chris, when you joined the team last year, how optimistic were you or not that you would be here in October, ready to pitch in the playoffs? And also, was there a moment or two, either in spring training or during the season, where you thought this team, besides all the talent that was here, also had the right demeanor, the right attitude to be a formidable playoff team?
Yeah, I mean, there was never a doubt that I thought we would not get here. Obviously, from the outside looking in, before I was with this team, I always thought that they were a powerhouse. Going into spring training, seeing the guys in the clubhouse, seeing the culture, seeing the drive, that kind of just amplified it. And then obviously we get going in the season, seeing the way we handle things and the way everyone handles their business personally and as a group, just kind of solidified it. I mean, it was only, I don't want to say it was a matter of time, but we are a playoff team, obviously, and I think we all knew that from day one.
Be standing up on the right side of the back.
How tough is this Astros lineup?
They're real good. I mean, we got to look at them just last week, so we know what we're getting ourselves into, and we know what we need to do. So it's just about going out there and getting it done.
Kevin?
You're seeing Verlander again. What's that experience like on this stage?
He's tough. Like I said, I mean, as a whole, we know what we're getting ourselves into. We know the work that we need to get done, and I think we're up to the task. I mean, we fought hard all year. We've faced a lot of challenge. We've been backed in the corner, and we've dealt with those situations pretty well. So, hopefully, continue that going forward.
Ian in the middle.
Chris, just having played, I guess, against Pedroia your whole career before now, what kind of things have you learned about him? Just sharing a clubhouse and a dugout with him this year.
He competes. He's definitely the spark plug to this team. When you think about the Boston Red Sox, he's probably the first name you think of. He's by definition a grinder. We all know this year and how it's played out and the things he's had to go through, and it's admirable. I mean, he's as tough as they get, and to be able to have him in my corner is huge.
There in the back.
Two questions related to rest. You've had a lot between, you'll have a lot between your last start and this one. What are the challenges and opportunities with that? And then going forward, what would your thoughts be on starting on 3 days rest, potentially later this series or later in the postseason?
Yeah, so I did have extended rest this time, which I think is good, obviously, this time of year. Catch your breath, get your feet underneath you. I threw a little bit more intensified bullpen this past week than I usually do to kind of get prepared, sharpen up a little bit. 3 days rest, I'm in. I mean, this is what I live for. I'm throwing till my arm falls off.
Evan in the middle.
You don't look at a lot of scouting reports, and you like to have an empty mind on the mound. Does that change at all for the playoffs? Do you start to dive into some more of that stuff than you would normally with the regular season?
No. Like I said before, getting back to the previous question is, I don't want to put any more emphasis on this than there already is. This is obviously this is playoff baseball, so it comes with a lot more attention. But for me, I'm going to pitch the same game. I'm going to go out there and do the same things I've always done. I'm not going to reach for another avenue that I haven't reached for in my entire career. So I don't think now would be the time to start doing that.
Any last ones for Chris? All right. Thanks very much.
Thank you, guys.
think he was doing something up pretty good. Broadcast.
Okay, we'll get started with Dustin Pedroia. First question. Who wants to start? Start over here on the right.
You had a couple days off to end the season. How are you feeling physically, and do you feel ready to go for the playoffs?
Yeah, I feel good. Ready to go. So, a lot of hard work. I mean, from our training staff and strength coaches and everybody to get me ready. So I'm excited.
Jen, right here, and then to Jen.
Dustin, what has Chris Sale brought to this team?
Wow, I mean, he's been unbelievable since day one. I mean, not only just obviously the stuff he has on the mound, but his presence in the clubhouse, the way he attacks every day. He's always trying to get better. You know, he's a pretty special guy to play with, and you know, we're pretty excited to have him out there on the mound.
Yeah, obviously you've been the whole year without David Ortiz, but just this time of year, is there anything maybe different with kind of you being the most veteran guy heading into the postseason with this team?
No, you know, I mean, we obviously, you know, David was there for a long time, and you know, I think, you know, it was weird at the beginning, but now, you know, we've gone through a whole season without him, and you know, our team has formed our own identity. So, you know, we're not really focused on that. We're focused on trying to compete and win baseball games together, and you know, we're not thinking about anything else.
Pete?
Dustin, kind of related to that question, you're coming up on, I think, 50 playoff games in your career. What's different about the playoffs, and what kind of advice can you impart on guys who haven't had that kind of experience?
I mean, the only thing, I mean, the playoffs, it's about, you know, anything you could do to help the team win. It doesn't matter. I mean, you know, if you lead off the game or whatever, and you have a 15-pitch at bat and you strike out, you know, you're 0 for 1 in the box score, but that at bat is crucial to helping your team win, and that's what it's about. It's not about anything else. It's about, you know, doing anything you can, little things wise, you know, backing up bases, doing one more thing than the other team that can help you win a baseball game. That's the playoffs. You know, and you know, I like to think that our team plays like that, you know, every game throughout the season. So, you know, once the playoffs are here, you just go play and continue to do what you've done all year. So, you know, that's you know, what a lot of our guys learned last year. You know, it's the same game. It's just, you know, you got to come in the media room and talk before, or, you know, you have practice days or things like that. So, but it's the same game. You just got to find a way to be one run better than the other team.
Following up on that, how do you pass that along to your younger teammates, you know, dating back to spring training and throughout the year in preparation for this moment?
They know. I think last year was a good learning experience for a lot of the guys that went through, you know, losing in the playoffs. You know, and that's what you push for when you're working throughout the year is, you know, the great teams, they make their own breaks, and you know, we're trying to do that.
Standing up in the back.
Dustin, how tough is Verlander, and what will be some of the keys going against a pitcher like Verlander?
Yeah, he's very tough. You know, every pitch he has is a wipeout pitch. So you just gotta battle, try to get a good pitch to hit, and if you get it, you better not miss it. You know, because he can make it pretty tough on everybody. So, you know, we try to get up there and grind out at bats. Obviously, we faced him, you know, a lot before. Some of us in the playoffs. You know, he's tough. I mean, he's done it for a real long time, and he's been one of the best at it.
Ian?
Dustin, how tough has this year been on you physically? And you know, did you ever have any doubt that, you know, you'd be at this point right now still being able to play?
No, I mean it's a part of the game. You know, I mean it's you know, I obviously play a position where, you know, you hit the deck a lot. So, but you know, I mean mentally you try to just, you know, block that out. Know it's a part of the game. Try to come back and do all you can to help your teammates. So, you know, I knew I'd be in a position to help us here in this part of the year.
In the center and towards the back.
Dustin, this is the second straight year for you guys where, you know, you're underdogs going into the series, having to start on the road. Do you think teams can embrace the underdog personality? Is that something you guys have, you know, embraced, do you think?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think any of us think it matters. I mean, it doesn't matter where we play. I mean, you're just going and competing. You know, so I don't think anybody, you know, picks up a newspaper and says, "Oh, we're the underdogs" or "We're the favorites." You know, we're just, you know, trying to do the best we can to win games and continue playing because our team enjoys playing, so we want to keep it going.
Any last ones for Dustin? Okay, thanks for coming in, Dustin. John Farrell will be in shortly. Okay, we're going to get started with Red Sox manager John Farrell. We'll start with Pete right here in the front.
Hi, John. Any updates in terms of the roster, or in particular, maybe anybody who you know is not going to be on the roster at this point?
No, as a matter of fact, as the bus left the hotel at 3 o'clock, guys have reported here, we're still working through a number of individual conversations, so we won't have anything further to announce until tomorrow morning.
And, how's Sale doing? It sounds like you had a little bit of a cold going on.
Yeah, I think we've had a couple of guys that have kind of passed around a little bit, so nothing uncommon to what we've experienced throughout the course of the year.
Sean?
John, there are a lot of good starting pitchers in baseball who have not had success in the postseason. Kershaw's an obvious example. Your own David has struggled here and elsewhere. Mm-hmm. What gives you confidence that Chris can be one of the guys who does carry over his regular season performance into the postseason, having not done it before?
You know, Sean, I think this somewhat compares to the way he came into Boston following the trade. He has handled it without distraction. He's handled it with, I think, a consistency to his routine and being true to himself, who he is as a performer, as a pitcher. I would venture to say, knowing Chris the person, that the same approach will be applied tomorrow. And I think the beauty inside of Chris Sale is that he focuses solely on the things that he can control. And something as simple as commanding the count, strike one, keeping it pretty much to the basics. And he's done such an excellent job of that, coming in with all the expectations. And the highlight from the trade, he's handled it beautifully. And I would suspect this stage, this next set of games in which he's going to experience the first time would be handled the same way.
Standing up in the back.
Yes, John. How healthy is Pedroia, and what does he mean to the offense, and what does he mean off the field to the team?
He's healthy enough, and I think the last couple of days have helped him. And I think, you know, for guys that are dealing with some physical ailments or they've been banged up a little bit, the additional days of rest and treatment they can receive have been beneficial. I think Petey is certainly one of those type of guys, but he brings an immense amount of postseason experience, and I think the number of games in which he's played in the postseason will certainly be a benefit not only to him but guys around him. There's a voice in our clubhouse that speaks from experience, and I think a number of guys will look to him for that as well. So we come off a year last year where some of our young guys have experienced it just for the 3 games, and yet Petey, who's back in the middle of the diamond, gives us some stability in that way.
Here on the right.
John, no easy outs in this Astro lineup. How does that put pressure on your own offense to score runs?
Oh, you know, I guess, you know, Joe, the only way I can probably answer that is it's like a pitcher going up against a lineup. He can't swing the bat against the opposing pitcher. I don't think our hitters will change their approach based on their offense. We've got to play to the game situation. And I think more than anything, doing some of the simple things and the basic things as best as we can and most consistently, that's what we need to focus on, regardless of who's in the box. We've got to execute in all phases. And yes, this is a very complete team. They're explosive offensively. They play well here at home. But we need to go out and focus on the controllables on our own end.
Rob?
Assuming Nunez is okay, have you locked in how you want to use him in the first couple of games?
No, not locked in. There's some thought to how we get him at bats, how we get him on the field with a right-hander and then a left-hander. There's a couple of different ways we can go with this, but I think the most encouraging thing is the way he's come through the work days the last 3 days out. Yesterday, we were able to test him in a number of different ways, including sliding, running at full speed. He was able to accomplish all that. So a little bit of a setback in terms of the aggravation 10 days ago or so. But his work has been outstanding here of late.
Pete?
John, in a 5-game series, do you feel like a manager is more likely to have a quick hook because of the briefness of that series? Or?
I think when you think about October, you're taking an all-hands-on-deck mentality. And And whether it's a 3-game series, 5-game series, or 7-game series, game 1 is important. But I think our guys are primed and ready with that urgency and know that decisions can happen quick, and we're prepared for that.
Naming a Game 3 starter because you want to see what happens in the first 2 games, or you're just not sure what?
No, I think we're getting closer to that, but that's all part of some of the conversations that are ongoing.
Ian?
John, it seems like no matter which way your roster shakes out, there's going to be some established guys that are probably going to be left off. I mean, how tough are some of those conversations this time of year to have?
They can be very difficult, and particularly when you've got, if there's a player that has been a contributor for all of this year or the past couple of years, all you can try to do is be as candid and as honest and forthright as possible with the reasons that might go into a roster decision. So you have full respect for who they are as a person and what they've done here, and yet some of that might entail the hot hand, so to speak, as a roster decision. Or in our case, we've got some infield depth that we have to keep because of Petey and Nooney. Those are real and tangible things that we have to guard against.
Here in the aisle.
Now with Bogaerts, it's good to see he's been out of the leadoff spot. Do you anticipate keeping him there for the series?
That would be the intent at this point. Yeah, he's responded well. The on base is spiked. We're seeing much more consistent hard contact. So right now, that's the thought.
Would you plan on keeping the same battery matchups that you've had?
Likely at this point, yeah.
Last year against Cleveland, to what degree do you think that playoff inexperience showed up in that first inning of Game 1?
Wow, lots happened since then. They made quality pitches. I know that we jumped out. We had I think a big scoring opportunity that we may have gotten 1 run rather than a crooked number on the board. They had a pretty clear-cut attack plan against us, and they exploited it. They executed it extremely well. It worked into their favor. So I don't know if that's solely the byproduct of an experience.
To what degree do you see that young core having matured this year? Like, do you see them at a different? Is it a discernibly different state of their career, or is it to you, are they the same guys basically that they were?
No, they've matured. They continue to evolve in their own right, and I think as a group too. Last year, we went into the postseason. This was a first, and there was a lot of questions that stemmed from that first experience because they've lived it. Some of those questions they've answered through their own successes or challenges. So, now this is a full year of experience and some postseason, limited as it was, under their belt. They're that much more prepared.
Any last ones for John? All right, thanks very much. Your room here today.